With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Hi everybody, thanks for coming out. Woo. Spirits with Spirits, so here we are. My name is Jazz, I'm with Giving Up the Ghost podcast, and...
Hi everybody, I'm Ashley from Winnipeg Paranormal Group.
And I'm Kelly from Winnipeg Paranormal Group.
So again, it's our first time here at the King's Head Pub, and we appreciate that for this opportunity because, as everybody knows, this place is haunted. So, in saying that, watch everybody leave because they didn't know. No, just kidding. Anyway, so we're just really glad everybody could come out. Hopefully there'll be a few more yet. We're just going to start going on with telling you what we did. We did some research of the King's Head Pub. This building has been here since 1896, and it's gone through a few owners and a few changes over the years. More notably, I think it's been the King's Head Pub since 1983, I think, or something like that. We'll get to that, the history. Hello, welcome, come on in, find a table, find a seat. Like I said, my name is Jazz. I have a podcast locally here in Winnipeg with my pod partner, Cher. But we're Winnipeg's first and only paranormal podcast. We've been doing this for 6 years, over 6 years. We're downloaded in 43 countries, believe it or not. And we have over 200 episodes. So if you want to go back and hear our catalog, please do. We just covered just Winnipeg and just Manitoba ghost stories. So, you know, you can go on the internet and you can find podcasts that talk about, you know, California or Banff or any of that kind of stuff. No, we concentrate specifically because Winnipeg and Manitoba is haunted AF. And through our adventures with doing research and finding all these stories and talking to so many cool people and learning more stuff about the paranormal than we knew before when we started, we got to meet these wonderful ladies. They had invited us out to an investigation. I don't know, was it like a getaway weekend or an investigation? I don't know. Call it what you want.
A little of both.
A little of both. Yeah. It was at the B&B in
Eli,
Manitoba, which was formerly a nunnery. And if any of you know what a nunnery is, I mean, I'm not religious, so I'm not going to go on rants and stuff. So it was a pretty tough gig, nunneries, you know what I'm saying? And place is haunted, supposedly. And we went there. Cher came with me, and we took our laptop that weekend. We met up with the ladies, and we were in the dining hall. Lovely owners. I guess it's still open from what I know.
Yep.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is, with spirits, and these guys, you can pick their brains later, they know more than anything about the paranormal stuff than I do, but I just have to explain that whenever we do locations or talk about places, we do the history. Hauntings and histories kind of go hand in hand. And I do remember clearly how cool it was that when we were reading all the history, like we were reading like the nuns' names and the bishops' names, and if anybody knows nuns back in the early, 1900s, they loved their bishops, right? They loved their priests, right? Like greater than God. And it was just amazing that when we started to read off all the information, names specifically and dates and stuff, their gadgets started going off, right? They have like K2 meters and stuff, and every time we were talking about the history of the building, It was just wild to me. Like, there's just so much connection. So when spirits remain, you know, they pick up on things, they connect, and that's what we try to do. We're trying to make connections with the past, history, and spirits. And again, these ladies know way more than I do or we do. But that was quite the experience, and that was pretty cool to watch their K2 gadgets go off. And that's what we're going to try and establish here tonight. We have a lot of history about the King's Head Pub. Again, it's been here since 1896. It's gone through a few different reincarnations, no pun intended. And maybe I've talked a little too long about this. So I'm just going to give the mic over to Ashley and Kelly, and they can tell you a little bit more about what the Winnipeg Paranormal Group is all about.
Thanks. So Kelly and I run the Winnipeg Paranormal Group together. We focus primarily on client investigations. So somebody's having activity in their home. We come out and we'll investigate for them and see if we can find any evidence or proof, or try and help them out. A lot of times people just want to know that they're not going crazy. That was me.
Yeah.
But we also do things like tonight's Spirits with Spirits. We also host public investigations where people are able to come out, and we'll teach you how to use our equipment at a haunted location, and then send you out on an investigation there. So for example, we have an investigation coming up at St. James Museum in June, and another one at the Dalnevert Museum in July.
Several in
October, yeah, October's booked.
Go figure.
But yeah, so we're here to try and help everybody, and we really want to make this a more comfortable topic for people. There's still a really big stigma in this field, and that's part of what tonight is about. So we want to encourage everybody to, you know, come up and tell your stories. This is a safe and comfortable place with like-minded individuals. So, you know, when we open up the mic, please come out and tell us what you've got. No, Kelly's sick tonight. So.
Yeah, so.
Oh, it's me again.
You
Hi. I talk a lot, but that's okay. So in any event, like I said before, with the King's Head Pub, it's been known to be haunted. You know, there's some stigma against it because, you know, we would never want to do anything or say anything that would potentially scare off customers and stuff, but we feel a lot of times when we're talking in public places that are known to have spirits, people are curious. People want to know. People want the experience. There's three kinds of people in the world. There's the ones that say there's no such thing as ghosts. There are the ones that want to believe but also need proof. And then there are the third that have experiences and they know what there is out there and what happens. Like I myself, over my entire life, I've had like a lot of really weird ghosty experiences. So I mean, I believe, but that's just because I've had proof. So I totally get it. If somebody doesn't, maybe it's, you know, because of religion, maybe it's because of their upbringing, right? Like maybe they're religious and they were told there is no such thing as spirits, and you know, like that's fine. I mean, whatever your belief system is. But I mean, at the same time, you know, our favorite is when we speak with somebody, when we go out in public, like a lot of times we'll go to like, you know, the markets and stuff and the psychic fairs. Somebody will say, oh, there's no such thing as ghosts. Well, there was this one time this book levitated off the table, but that was just the wind. It's like, okay. So, I mean, there's that. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that, you know, they want to believe, they want more proof, but even though sometimes maybe they've seen things that would be considered to be a ghost, and no, they just don't buy into it, and that's cool. Whatever works for you. So anyway, again, I like to talk a lot. Going back to this building was built in 1896. It's a 2-story warehouse building. It was designed by a local architect.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
For a fur merchant named Andrew Carruthers, who was actually a long-standing fur, hide, and wool dealer. Although the hide and wool warehouse was on a distant location, first in Logan, the main office employed many people, and with the advantage of having the two locations, the one on King here, and there was the one, I guess, directly across from the Central Fire Hall. It says here, Carruthers was a few meters from the Market Square, which is there, and in the heart of the growing needle district. I can't speak sometimes. Trading supply was accomplished with ease in the city that maintained its prominence in the historic fur trade. So he basically had a foothold, and with the Exchange District being known as like manufacturing district, like this was the shit. This was the place to be for his business. Also, a side note though, A. Carruthers Company, they expanded its presence in the warehouse district by building a new structure in 1916 at 124 King, immediately north of its original building. So, they were growing faster than they could keep up with, so they were making buildings and stuff. A little history on A. Carruthers. He was actually director of the Monarch Life Assurance Company. He had a daughter, he had two sons, both were involved in the fur trade, and they had business in Birkenhead, England, and in Brandon and Winnipeg. His son, William, looked after that part of the business. So it was William who took over for the Winnipeg operation when Andrew Carruthers died, April 1909. We don't know if he died here, along with his business partner who also was running the business. So basically, the way this building was structured, you had different parts, and like I said, because they expanded their business and they couldn't keep up with demand, I guess, with fluctuating need, they would then, this upper floor in 1906 was rented out to Dear Nordwestern Publishing Company, and that was the first and largest German language press in Western Canada, printing the weekly Dear Nordwestern. I'm part German, but I can't speak a word shit, so never mind. Oops. Thank you. So that magazine was actually, or that newspaper, was originated since 1889, and it was the most important German language paper in the West. Keeping in mind, again, that was up here. That was the printing presses, if you can imagine. Can you imagine in those days how hot that would have been up here, like with no air conditioning, just all the printing presses going and everything. Anyway, by the year of its first publication, Manitoba's population included 6,000 German-speaking immigrants from Russia, mainly Mennonites, Romania, Germany, and the eastern Austro-Hungarian provinces. And because they were considered desirable immigrants, the federal government encouraged more and more homesteaders to come, particularly after 1896. Although other German papers were published in this century, Der Nordwestern remained the most important German language newspaper in the West. At its peak from 1904 to 1914, it published 20,000 copies weekly and employed 30 people in this plant. I mean, again, you got the printing presses and all that kind of stuff. It'd be really cool if, just gonna throw this at you girls, like if you can negotiate or maybe see if they can do like an after hours investigation, because I could just, I don't know if you've ever known the Winnipeg Free Press the Winnipeg Free Press initially, before it had its building downtown, it was actually running their printers off the 10th and the 11th floor in the Marlborough, right? So apparently after they moved, and the printing presses, I think, were too large for them to disassemble and move. And when they got their proper building on, what is that street called? Off of Ellis, was it Carleton? Yeah, thank you. So they left a lot of the printing equipment there because it was just too large to transport, and it was kind of aged and decrepit by that point. So they basically, at the Marlborough Hotel, blocked off that whole floor. But for years, staff that worked there would always claim that late at night they could hear the printing presses going. So, I just got chill. So that'd be really cool, just given the amount of history of the German paper that was here, right? And then you get somebody really cool coming in and sprechen de Deutsch and hast du Geld, and see if you can, rise the spirits. I don't know. So anyway, I also choo-choo, my train falls off the track a lot too. Anyway, so at its peak from 1904, 20,000, they employed 30 people. But the difficulties occurred during the last days of the First World War, when all foreign newspapers were forced to be published in English. During the Winnipeg General Strike of 1919, the publication was suspended outright. So that's the first part. So where we're sitting now, again, to reiterate, this is where the printing happened upstairs. Speaking with the manager earlier as we're setting up, and she was saying that, you know, the King's Head has 2 ghosts that they know about, right? They've seen and felt and had experiences in the basement. They have a basement ghost, and then they have a 3rd floor ghost. So just saying, if you guys see or feel anything weird tonight, be certain to let us know.
I only knew about the basement ghost.
Interesting, yeah. And these ladies have some of their gadgets here. Did you guys want to turn on some of your gadgets and just leave them on the... There we go. So the proof is in the pudding. The paranormal proof is in the paranormal pudding. So we'll see what happens. A little bit more about the history. Do you care to read this? This is about the fellow that bought the paper. It was still running. Yeah.
When it gets to the ghosts, that's when
I know. But see, the reason why we're building up the history here is not just to prove and show how much activity this restaurant was at one point, but you know, a lot of sometimes spirits gravitate back to what they know or what they like or what, you know, what gave them joy in life. Yeah, like their happy place, right? Like if anybody knows, say for example, the Burton Cummings, they say it's Mabel Hackney and her husband who were just embraced here by the community when they performed in like, I think it was like what, 12, something or somewhere around there, 1917. Anyway, they were from England. They performed here, and they were just so loved by the Winnipeg community. They performed for like a year and a half, but they did say that they would be back, and I'll be back. And what happened was when they started to go back to England, they were actually on a ship in the Ontario, what is it? St. Lawrence Strait, and there was a ship disaster. So their ship collided with another ship, and they perished. They could not find the bodies. They could not find them. So, and then it was after that time, you know, they would say that Mabel and her husband had returned to the birth. There's a plaque there as well. So, I mean, you know, spirits gravitate. Like, they're not confined in one place just because they died someplace. So that doesn't mean like a bunch of people died here. I mean, they could have, we don't know. We'll get to that. But in any event, that's the whole point of reading the history, because just to reiterate how much has happened here. And I'm hoping that, you know, if we reiterate some of the history, that might attract some things. You never know. So anyway, just to go back, after the general strike, there was the business was then actually bought by Frank Dojcik in 1922, and he expanded into several multilingual publications. So this is from the Manitoba Historical Society. That's a great website if you ever are nerdy like me and like history. It was a really great, their stuff is solid. So with Frank, who had bought the magazine, he was actually born in Czechoslovakia in 1880. He immigrated to Canada in 1903, and then he worked as a tailor for years. And then he turned to the book-selling business, and then from 1904 to 1906, he traveled across Prairie Canada selling books written in Ukrainian, German, and Slovak. In 1906, he started a Ukrainian booksellers store at 850 Main Street that specialized in foreign language books. And during the course of his working life, he published over 60 foreign language books. And later he added music to his inventory, remaining as general manager of the store until his death. And he also started a Polish language weekly newspaper called Polish Times, Zaz. Anyway, so there's more about his life and death. I won't bore you with that. But there is actually a bronze bust of him sculpted by Leo Mall, and it says a replica of his Winnipeg store at the Canadian Museum of Civilization in Hull, Quebec, and some of his possessions are held there as well. So during the 1940s, this location also housed the general offices of the Canadian Pacific Airlines. And from 1951 to 1983, it was also home to something called Sparling Sales. Successfully operated wholesale radio and television sales business, and then in 1983, the building was renovated into an office space, including a travel agency. The name was unknown, and this location First operated actually as a restaurant for a brief period of time, both as Mama Lou's Steakhouse and Stage Deli operated here as well. Anybody familiar with those? Anybody? No? And then in August of 1987, the King's Head Pub first opened its doors to Winnipeg as the first pub in the city and introduced Winnipeg to the import beer market. So that's pretty cool. From the King's Head Pub website, the King's Head first started off as a 40-seat pub with only about 6 beer taps on tap, and over the years expanded to its current capacity of 400-seat plus, and as well as an outdoor patio. We now have one of the largest tap selections in Winnipeg. Kudos to the King's Head Pub. So that is that part. Ashley wanted to talk about the hauntings. Yeah.
Get to the hauntings.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so this comes from a City TV news episode from 2006. This is actually apparently at that point one of the lesser known haunted locations in Winnipeg. I don't think it was as big back then, the paranormal haunting things.
What year was that?
2006?
Oh.
I think it was still tabooish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taboo.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Beam and Jack Daniels are not the only spirits that inhabit the pub. Okay. Former owner, Jay, I'm not even going to attempt
I think
that
it's
last name.
Kanujik.
Kanujit? Okay. Said there are nights that he spent alone in the pub before it opened where he gets the feeling he wasn't alone, which is the reason why he believed in ghosts today. Many times there would be really weird noises, and you have that in older buildings, but when I slept in the basement next to the kitchen and hear pots and pans moving, and you knew there was something going on. Side note, the owner was understaffed and would sometimes spend the night in the basement. He would hear sounds but thought nothing of it. Soon dishes and cutlery would disappear. The owner blamed the waitresses for stealing them, but she denied it. Eventually he agreed to lock the doors and stay in the place one night to keep watch on everything, and dishes and cutlery still went missing.
Ooh, give us a collective ooh.
Well, we already talked about that.
Right. Oh yeah, because that was from the TV, from the
Yeah.
So
One story is that the night waitress would set the tables before she left for the night, but in the morning when the staff came in, certain pieces would be missing off tables. Spoons would be missing off one table, glass missing off another, napkins not in the same place, or the table had overall been messed with. But not all the stories are lighthearted. In a more serious moment, in 1994, a homeless man who regularly came in to use the bathroom had a seizure while in the pub. Staff didn't think anything of it and thought he had left at some point, as he usually did. However, hours later, the bartender let staff know that something was wrong with Garry, finding him in the bathroom. They called an ambulance, realizing that he had had a seizure. However, he had passed away. So there is a death in the building.
one. Body count, one. Ooh.
That we know of.
That we know of.
That we know
Yeah.
of.
It was after that the owner Jay felt a second presence. He says it was Garry, as Garry had appreciated the staff's kindness, and before his death he told the bartender how much he liked it there, so maybe he wanted to make the pub his final resting place. Jay said the presence we felt initially was more so in the basement, but that pretty much is where you only felt it at first. Then it would move up here to the upstairs floor. We started feeling the presence on the second floor as well. For some reason, sharing your workplace with ghosts is a frightening thought, but for Jay, it's not scary. When you're scared, you get a chill up your neck or down your spine. This feeling is different. It was sort of a calming thing, always kind. You kind of always thought you saw something or felt something, but never a chill, always warmth. That's really sweet.
Yeah. So see, that's that "I'll be back" theory. Like not Arnold, but the Mabel Hackney, right? I'll be back. So Garry came back, or stayed, in his case.
Well, Garry, we are recording tonight, so if there's a message that you want to say, we
What we can
might be able
do,
to hear when you
actually.
listen to this after.
One thing I want to. Garry. In our podcast travels, me and Cher I'm okay with the Ouija board now. Oh, sorry. I'm okay with the Ouija board now because of these ladies, and because they're pretty cool and stuff. But for the longest time, I was not cool with Ouija boards because I had a lot of bad experiences. However, in our travels on our podcast, we started to incorporate something called the magnetic sphere of fortune, which is kind of like your magic 8-ball. It's got a magnet and it says yes, maybe, definitely, no way, try again, ask a friend. So let's ask if Gary's here.
Great.
Okay.
Garry, if you're here, can you let us know?
And it's pretty accurate, I have to say. It's kind of eerie. Well, it was bouncing on yes, and now it's on maybe.
Maybe.
It's a 50-50, probably.
Well, yeah.
Everything's a 50-50.
We can try it later.
Or are there any other spirits here?
Ooh, are there any other spirits here? Right? Because it could be the basement ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, came up for stretch his legs.
Yes.
Yes.
Take it what you want. Anyway,
Those are
if
always
anyone
fun.
wants to try this after, or if they have any ideas for any questions, by all means, you know, just. All right.
Do you want to read or you want me to keep going?
You can keep going. My voice is too hoarse.
Other things experienced. Weird things have been reported in the basement and on the top floor, but not the main floor. In the basement, staff have reported feeling watched or someone in the space with them. On the second floor, they heard pouring or rushing water. This happened a few times, so a plumber was called in, and the plumber could not find anything wrong. Once in a while, these sounds could still be heard by staff.
I hear something back there. It's okay. Go ahead. This was just in relation to
okay.
the area exchange district.
So Old Market Square, which is where we are, placed in the heart of Winnipeg's historic exchange district, was not always located at its current site. At its initial construction, it sat on a different lot just down the street. The original site of the Old Market Square can be found half a block north, situated on the land of the former public safety building, which stood at 151 Princess Street. What we now know as Old Market Square, aka the Cube, back in the 1870s, it was one of the first prisons in the province, being situated across the way from the courts and City Hall.
Right. So if you kind of sort of like envision where the City Hall is now, there was the gingerbread City Hall, if you ever heard of that one, and they had to demolish it. It was a beautiful thing. It was, the old City Hall, they called it the gingerbread City Hall. It was only around for about 20 or 30 years, and then they had to demolish it because of structural. I guess it wasn't built properly. So if you can imagine where the City Hall is now, and then I think it's Red River, right? The building, which became, so like all that was all connected with City Hall. And as far as like their jail system, and then they had the gallows, that was actually right across the street. That's all I kind of wanted to say.
They had gallows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the original jail before Vaughan Street.
Like real hanging?
Yeah, even at Vaughan Street Jail, they had gallows, which was the later prison.
In the parking lot. Yeah.
Yeah, there was what, like 15 hangings at Vaughan Street, something like that?
Yeah.
Has anybody been to Vaughan Street Jail or?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
You
You
worked
worked
there?
No.
Oh, we gotta talk later.
Are you going to
You'll
come
have
up
to
and
tell
share
us
with
some
us after?
stories.
Are you going to come share some stories with us after? No?
Sure.
Sure?
Oh, okay,
Oh,
perfect.
thank you.
All right, so I read that.
Right. I just wrote that part just to emphasize how the area is so old and haunted, right?
Public hangings in what is now Market Square were indeed a part of the city's history. The general downtown area were historically used for public executions in Winnipeg, predating Vaughan Street Jail. Supposedly, Old Market Square is where the first hangings in Manitoba occurred and how the jail cells remained underground of the square.
Apparently. Because it was indoors. It wasn't outside.
Oh.
So it's kind of like, because, you know, they had to dig the hole, right?
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
August 26, 1874, Private Joseph Michard, a 23-year-old soldier from Quebec, is the first person to be hanged in Manitoba. A large crowd showed up outside the jail at 8 a.m. for the hanging, despite the fact that it was an indoor show with a pre-selected gallery of just 20 that were able to watch. Do you think there's any spirits from those that might want to say hello tonight?
So,
We'll give that back to you.
sure.
Another thing of interest history-wise, not ghost-wise necessarily, everybody knows next door, like the parkade and that creepy garage, right? That's actually at 114 King, and that one was actually, I won't bore you with the whole history and all that, but it was quite, how do you say, it was like the first dealership in Winnipeg and Western Manitoba for the longest time. I guess, like, you know, with everything progressing, me and Ashley had a conversation before about, you were saying that was like for horses, right? Yeah. But it actually wasn't. And really? Yeah, I wasn't trying to disprove Ashley or anything like that, because I like it when she takes me on investigations, so I don't want to piss her off. But so basically, the facility next door, it doesn't have anything nefarious to it. It was always like a dealership. And the weird thing, because, like, you know, with the bust of, like, say, 1882, while it seriously affected some parts of the local economy, it didn't have a devastating effect on the wholesale sector, which was the, you know, exchange district, right? So the areas between east and west of Main Street developed into the warehouse district between 1880s and 1890s, and then rapidly into the 1900s. So in saying that, one of the unique developments was the growth of the automobiles in the city. A fellow by the name of E.B. Kendrick, a professor at St. John's College, introduced the first automobile to Winnipeg in 1909. So tomorrow you can talk about this at work and say, did you know that the first automobile in Winnipeg was here in 1901? 1909? Whatever. Anyway, so by 1903, the automobile business was established, and it was taken over by McCullough and Boswell, who built a garage on William Avenue. And then the Winnipeg Automobile Club was organized in 1904. And then by 1908, there was nearly 300 cars on Winnipeg streets, which is kind of crazy. So they're running horse-driven carriages and cars at the same time. Can you imagine the calamity? Like, that might have been just, anyway. People can't drive nowadays, can you imagine back then? Probably didn't even have turn signals back then either. So in 1903, carriage retailer Joseph Ma began selling RE old vehicles, aka Oldsmobiles and Cadillacs, in a portion of his business block on the southeast corner of King Street in William, but it wasn't long before supply and demanded a larger, more modern facility. So in 1907, Ma took out a permit to build a one-story garage and showroom on his property situated opposite, at that point, the Central Fire Hall on King, which is next door here. And it said he owned this property till 1930, and he made it the city's first great automotive center. So now, from 1934 to 1964, City Dray Company and Olafson Transportation Company occupied the property, and then it was Silpit Industries that owned it. So technically, 114 King building was never a stable, as rumor may have it. The City Dray Company was founded in 1894 as a horse-drawn vehicle form from out of his house on Stanley Street. And in 1909, he had 35 horses, but then once he brought like a 2-cylinder truck into the fray of things, it was still remained to be like just cars. So it's not that the company that resided there, or one of the companies that resided there, wasn't necessarily what I'm trying to say is they didn't have horses, but before they turned into trucks, they had horses, but there was never trucks or never horses next door. Kind of boring, but kind of interesting.
Where are we at?
So we are at 7:45. Should we take a break and then
tell some other ghost stories?
Yeah, and then we can talk some actual ghost stories and have everybody come up here and share.
Yeah, and we'll tell some ghost stories too.
Yeah, absolutely. We can definitely share some.
Or even ask them questions, because they've got a lot of experience. Yeah, so we'll take about 10-minute break.
Yeah, so feel free, 10-15 minutes, bathroom, drinks and food downstairs. We got some merchandise over here and in the corner. yeah, we'll be back in a little bit.
Thank you.
And also, as we say at the end of every podcast episode, because we're recording, and remember to live every day like it is your last.
But never give up the ghost.
There you go. Thank you. Have a great day, guys. Take care.
I'm like, I can't.
You never remember. I know.
I know it either.
You did well. You did
At least
well.
I got an excuse.
So well. Give me time to write.
Yep.
Wow, look at us.